why are you optimistic about Africa's future?
I think Africa has been the great success story of the 21st century. Most obviously in terms of growth rates, right, which have been spectacular despite the global financial crisis, despite the lockdowns. Of course, those things have hurt Africa as they've hurt every other country, but most other continents would gladly swap their growth rates for Africa's. But also in terms of more obvious measurements, if you like, right? Those higher growth rates feed into higher longevity, higher literacy, lower infant mortality, more years of girls' education, and so on. And on any of those measures, things are better and are getting better faster. Not everywhere, of course, right? We're talking about an incredibly large, diverse continent. It has patches of deprivation, and it has immense regional challenges. It has political instability in some countries, wars in some places. But by and large, I think the story is a happy one. And by the way, I think the rest of the world has been, again, very slow to wake up to this. We tend to, and if you're my sort of age, your view of Africa was formed, in the 80s by charity appeals and by news reports of civil wars. And the image that people had of Africa then was of, starving children with bloated bellies and flies crawling over their faces, or child warriors with pangas and so on. And of course, those stereotypes do not survive first contact, right? I mean, it is extraordinary the first time you go to Africa to see the industriousness of people, how busy they are, how enterprising, and how optimistic. Honestly, I think a lot of this has to do with the demographic situation. I remember having this conversation with a group of MPs in Uganda, and I think Uganda then had the youngest population in the world. The average age of Uganda then was 14 or something. And people were saying, oh, this is such a problem. How are we going to find jobs for all these young people? It's such a challenge. What are we going to do? And I was saying, look, guys, imagine you had the opposite problem. Imagine that you were Russia or Greece. Imagine that you had lots and lots of pensioners and no young people. Then you would have a problem, right? Trust me, those countries would swap their demographic problems for your problems. And it is not the job of politicians to worry about creating jobs. The jobs will follow from the growing wealth as long as the government gets out of the way and allows the enterprise of a free people to be unleashed. And so, I'm optimistic about property rights. I'm optimistic about accountable government. But above all, I'm optimistic about economic growth, provided that we can withstand the temptations of mercantilism, of protectionism, provided we can stand up against the always popular but always wrong argument that says we need to build our own stuff, we need to be more self-sufficient, we need to look after our own people. All of those policies, whether they come from Donald Trump, whether they come from Jeremy Corbyn, or whether they come from any African leader, serve to make a country needlessly poor. The most extraordinary falls in poverty have come in those African countries that have opened their market and joined the global system. And if the rest of the continent follows, then I think Africa has an extremely bright future.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to follow the IATP on Twitter at @the_IATP. Also, hit the like and subscribe button below and check out our website at www.theiatp.org.